So it's kind of a bittersweet day being the last talk together. I think, I honestly can say that I've enjoyed this experience, and I do think we still will work together moving forward. I just don't know to what capacity. I know once y'all get rolling in the season, that's going to be the main priority. So I don't know how much time y'all have for these sorts of deals, but just want to thank y'all for y'all's attention, for y'all's focus, y'all's time. Know that, within me trying to get y'all to another height and make y'all better, I want you to know that y'all made me better, and that's why I took this opportunity. This isn't a one-way street. That's why I love what I do, not only within the speaking and the motivational speaking, but in coaching. And I think that's something that's hard for y'all to understand at your age. But once you get older, I started coaching football at 18. I was a freshman at Tulane and coaching the guys that I had partied and hung out with the year prior. And it was the first off season that I realized that I loved coaching. Because it's funny, head coach calls me, "Hey Mark, what are you doing?" I'm waiting tables because I want to move out the parents' house and I want to, spread my wings and whatnot. He's like, "I want you to come coach." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I won't do anything. That'll be easy." So take the head coaching job. Like, they don't do anything, And then I realized the commitment level from a mental standpoint, the grind from a mental standpoint, as an athlete, you don't see those hours behind the scenes. I'm thinking a coach shows up 10 minutes before the lift, 10 minutes before the practice, leaves 10 minutes after the practice, kind of like an athlete would, but it's more like 10 hours before and 10 hours after would probably be more accurate. But I found out for myself that during that first off seasons when I realized I had found my passion and found my purpose within coaching, because I had gone from having zero social time when I was coaching, delivering pizza or Domino's, and being a freshman at Tulane, to having the off season where I didn't have to coach anymore and just deliver pizza at Domino's and just do my schooling. And I had all this free time on my hand. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was just bored out of my mind. And I was just itching to get back to that second year of coaching, because I had just evaluated my performance and I was just so ready to get my guys back, to get y'all back and see how much better we could become as a group. And I think that's something special about athletics, something special about what y'all are experiencing right now that y'all can't even understand. Because you don't, Foresight's 2020, you don't understand how good you got it right now, how special this experience is. Man, savor it, enjoy it. Even the tough times, man, because you know what? The toughest times are going to be the ones that you look back and laugh on. It's going to be the times that you're going to be most appreciative of. And it's hard for you to understand it as you're going through it, but it's so easy to look back at it and say, Ryler could tell you, Coach G could tell you, it's those toughest moments as an athlete, as a student, as a young man that, make you that grown man, make you that special person that people look up to and want to be like. It's hard for you to understand that there's people looking up to you right now, but every time y'all compete, there's someone in the stands that says, "I want to be like him one day." So you have something that you need to uphold, yourself being a man, yourself being a man of integrity, of character, and then just representing that A to your fullest ability. So that's just some things I want you to think about, and really just thank y'all for the opportunity to give me the opportunity to get better these last, 8 to 10 sessions. It's been truly enjoyable, and I hope you take something with you. It's funny when you do these types of things, it's really hard to measure or gauge how much better did we get, How much better, how many wins did we kind of achieve in these talks? It's hard to say, was it 1, was it 10? Oh, we won the championship because hockey. No, I think it's everything together, and that's what's special about this. You got to count everything as an investment or a lack thereof. It's every practice. It's every time we get together. And it's not just what you do in these fences. It's what you do outside these fences is an investment, or a lack thereof. Every opportunity you don't take the opportunity to hang out with these men, get to know these men, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your team's chances of being a memorable team, of being a team of champions. So I want you to take that with you. I want you to remember that, because you get one shot at this, you know? Ryler would love to pick up that racket again. Coach G would love to pick up that racket again and kick somebody's ass. But now he can only pick up that racket to kind of compete for fun. Like he said, ultimate frisbee. That was the first thing he was looking forward to. Because he can't compete like y'all anymore, you know? It's so precious, and it's so hard to understand. It's so hard to realize when you're in the middle of it, because it's what you're used to. It's like, for myself, I take my job for granted. The other day, I give a tour to our facilities that we work out in and work in, to 8th graders from Alabama. They walk in the building, wow. All I hear is wow the whole time. And I'm like, man, yeah, my office is pretty cool. My job is pretty cool. You know, it's like, I think we often forget how great of an opportunity we have. Don't forget that. Remember that. Remind yourself that. And, you know, to answer the question, you know, how valuable were these lessons? I think the men in this room decide how valuable they were. You've taken notes. You've been great students. Return to your notes. You will need them, you know? It's like you never arrive, man. And it's like the more you think you know, the less you know. You know what I'm saying? And the more you think you're there, the further away you are from it. Always remember that, man, because you have to be a constant student, a constant learner, and you've got to have a constant curiosity for what else is out there, what else can I obtain, what else can I achieve, what else can I learn. That's the only way you will stay at the top of your profession or your sport. You have to stay hungry, you have to stay motivated, and these notes will always be there for you, you know? And as you grow, as you learn, as you adapt, you still got to return to them. You're going to look at something you wrote in one of these sessions and laugh at the way you thought. A year later, you're going to laugh at the way you thought. Man, if I knew what I knew now back then, you know? So just continue to return to your notes. That's my challenge for you. You know, you've taken these notes, you know, they could literally be gold for you in a month. They could be gold for you in a year, in 2 years. When you leave, you know, we've set goals. We've stated values. We've talked about the type of men we want to be. We've talked about the type of team we want to be. That's written down on paper. That's a real goal that's written down in ink, written down in lead. All right? So don't forget to return to that as you go through these tough times, as we go through matches, as you go through those highs, as you go through the lows, right? We talked about how is this team going to respond to wins? How is this team going to respond to losses? Keep returning to your notes, all right? Keep challenging one another. We're going to finish with the last 3 today. Preparation, effort, accountability. That's it's funny because those 3 always kind of tie everything together, and they kind of tie each of one another together. So let's, Stu, read preparation for us.
We are always at least 10 minutes early before the time we are supposed to be somewhere. We have everything we need at all times.
Okay. What's that mean to you, Stu, preparation?
To me, it's, you know, I would say it's probably the most important key to success, because you can't move ahead if you're not prepared.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Anybody else want to share? Get one more person's thoughts on preparation. Sean, you were shaking your head. Was there something that kind of hit home for you?
Yeah, just when you said that, kind of a quote came to mind that my teacher from high school always told us: if you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail.
Yeah.
That's it. Sorry about that.
Heard that quote. Love that quote. Write that down. If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. Obviously, being a coach, game planning, preparation's everything, man. Coach Cochran always says, calculate a mindset. Calculate a mindset. Write that down. Is what you're doing, is it calculated? Are you waking up and just letting the day push you through it, or are you pushing through the day? Do you have a game plan? From the second your feet hit the floor till you go to bed at night, do you have a game plan? You want to be a CEO, you want to be a boss, you want to be someone that's remembered and looked up to, have a game plan your entire day. There's two very different types of people. And I'm telling you, those successful people out there, they're no different than you. All they did is they prepared. They had a plan, and they saw to it every day. And look, you're not going to be juiced up and ready every day, all right? I get it. But I saw a quote the other day, 80% of success is just showing up. If you give yourself that game plan and just show up, do those things, as much as you can get yourself prepared to do those things, you're going to be better off than 80% of the competition. So that's just something easy to remember. 80% of the competition. To me, preparation is broken up in two things, mental and physical, okay? Physical preparation part of it is actually having a game plan, right? Like writing down your goals, writing down your vision, like having your stuff ready, right? Packing, whatever it may be. Coach talked about being on time, punctuality. That's physical preparation, all right? Then you have mental preparation. To me, that's a calculated mindset, an attitude, a tenacity. That's something that you set, you decide, you choose. Do you just show up, go through the motions, or do you show up grateful saying, I'm going to take advantage of this day. No one's going to be able to outwork me today. I'm going to hit more balls than anybody in the country. I'm going to watch more film than anybody in the country. I'm going to eat like a professional. I'm going to train like a professional. You do all those things on a daily basis, and you start to see a different monster in the mirror. You start to see a different beast on the court. All right? That's the difference between mental preparation and physical preparation to me. I think they're two very big components into what you become as a man, as an athlete, and as a student. You know? Packing your book for class. That's physical preparation. If you do not have your book, how the hell are you going to get a good grade in the class? You know? And then there's mental preparation. I'm just going to go take a nap in this class. Or no, I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to take the best notes in the class. You take the best notes, you got a better chance of getting that A. It's very simple. It all applies to whatever you're doing. Are you taking notes? Are you locked in? Are you mentally prepared? Are you physically prepared? That needs to be your check mark. Am I mentally prepared for today? Am I physically prepared for today? And I think for myself, the way to be ready for tomorrow is at the end of the night, before I lay my head down, as I evaluate myself on the day that's just gone by, how am I going to be ready tomorrow and have that checklist? This is what I'm going to accomplish tomorrow, so that you start getting excited about that next day. So you have that game plan, right? Like Sean was saying, not preparing is preparing to fail. Straight up, that's all it is. Because that's what that's what this world is. You either allow people to push you around and you become the person that people want you to be, or you push through it and blaze your own trail. You ever heard of a trailblazer? That's someone who goes and makes his own path. All right? Very few of those. But you can make that decision. Do you want to be a trailblazer? Do you want to be a follower? That's all decisions you make. I'm not saying one's better or one's right. That's between you and you. It's between your ears. It's between what's under your chest. You don't have to be a trailblazer to be all right in my book. But to me, I feel like I just have a lot more in common with somebody who wants to blaze their own trail, who wants to do something that's never been done before. Like I said, why do it? Last time we talked, why do it if we're not going to be remembered? Why practice if this team's not going to be remembered? You know, I'm trying to make memories. At SEC Championship, it's like we grind, and there was one turnover in the fourth quarter, and I looked up, and we're up 42-13. I just knew it, and I just had chills go down my body. I got another ring. And it was just like that 1 second, literally that 1 second of just joy that just took over my entire body. And there's nothing like it, man. You know, I haven't gotten married, I haven't had kids. So for me, those championships are at the top for experiences in my life, you know. And I think being in your shoes at your age, there's nothing like it. Some of you've won championships. There's nothing like it. You have to prepare. You will not win a championship out of luck, especially with the competition this high. The next thing we got, effort. Nico, you got your paper? Let Nico borrow.
Effort. We demand 100% from ourselves first and our teammates second, with all the things we have control over. We do not make excuses for ourselves or let anyone else make excuses for us.
Share something, your thoughts on effort.
Well, I think it's pretty spot on. I think effort on days, especially where you don't feel good, like when just like you talked about it, there will always be days where you're not feeling well and stuff like that, but effort's something that is in your control. And so if you put in the effort and you know that you're getting better that day is what will really stand out and count in the long run, I think.
Right. Becker?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's one of the few things you do have control over, and if you just demand 100% the whole time, then, I mean, positive things will come out, you'll benefit from it, so, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Corey?
Effort to me is just like giving 100% all the time, and no matter like if you're down or up, it's always gonna get better from there.
To me, effort's obviously very important because, just strictly from what we teach and what I've been practicing and preaching with the other athletes I work with, the football team, Coach Saban's had a lot of success. He's probably known as one of the best coaches, and because of that, he's a great leader. And he's got 5 values that he preaches and teaches: discipline, commitment, toughness, effort, pride. Effort being one of those 5 things. I mean, that's going to go down in history. He's going to be remembered for years because of what he's accomplished in his field. And effort is one of the top 5 things that he feels like embodies a champion, embodies a great man, embodies a great football player. And it's no different for you as a tennis competitor, because there's not a whole lot of difference. Look, a competitor is a competitor, So you could take those same 5 values, and if you work on those things on a daily basis, just what could you become? What could you really achieve? What could you really accomplish? Effort, like Nico said. I mean, that's the one thing that you might have control over, God gives you speed, God gives you height, size, or lack thereof, But effort, that's based on you. You decide if you go hard today. You decide if you wake up. You decide if you practice harder than anybody in this room today. You decide if you get an extra lift. You decide if you allow those negative thoughts to stop you from doing something. You decide if you allow those negative thoughts to take a nap instead of going to get extra work, instead of going to hit 100 balls. Like, effort is between you and you. It's you versus the man in the mirror. And to me, some of the best competitors, like Michael Jordan, if you ever listen to him talk, it got to a point where he wasn't competing with anybody but himself. Because his level of competition, his level that he brought on the court was nowhere near anywhere else. And you will come to this point at some point in the season where if you're competing with the guy across from you, you're not going to play very good. If you're playing against somebody who's great, he's top 5 in the country, you got to compete with this guy or he's going to run you dry. But if this guy is one of the worst tennis players you ever played and you're just strictly competing with him and his ability, you might have one of your worst matches. So that's what's most important to me is Michael Jordan said there came a point where it's like it was just me versus me. The goals I had set for myself, the things that I wanted to accomplish had never been accomplished to that point. So it was like, this is what I've done to this point. How can I take it to another level? And I think that's something that's great for us as competitors, even as a coach. Like, I could easily compete with Scott Cochran every day because that's my mentor. That's a guy I look up to. I can easily compete with a guy like Nick Saban every day because that's one of my mentors. That's a guy I look up to. But there has to be come a point, and even within that I'm competing with myself and saying, where am I at? How do I get to that next level? How do my daily disciplines, my daily habits take me to another step, take me to the next level? You have to ask yourself that. You have to be honest with yourself and evaluating yourself and competing with yourself in order to get to that next level. Because you can lie to yourself and say, I'm fine, but are you really? Only you know that. And that's one of those things. Effort, man. Self-evaluations is one of the easiest things that you can do every night before you go to sleep. And I think I've shared with you before, my 3 values are vision, discipline, passion. Every night, the goal is, did I see my vision through today? Was I disciplined? Was I passionate? And it's a very easy thing that I'm able to say, no, yes, no, yes, no. Real simple. For 1-2 minutes before I fall asleep, while I say my prayers, before I say my prayers, whatever. That's something simple that you can do for the rest of your life. I believe it was Benjamin Franklin, one of the most notable people ever. Like he had some of the greatest impact and influence even today. He lived hundreds of years ago. He would have 13 values that he evaluated himself on every night. All right? And because of that, he said that's what he attributed all his success to. Everything he invented, all the influence he had on the society, on his community, all that because he evaluated 13 values every night. Don't believe me, Google it. I've read about it. And it's just real simple stuff. But it's just being consistent and checking yourself and checking your effort. You know? Like, I feel like sometimes we count ourselves out because we're not LeBron James of basketball. But that's BS. That's a cop-out. That's the backdoor way out. That's an easy way to give us a reason why we can't be great this year. That's an easy way for us to say we can't compete in the SEC. We can't win this. We can't do that. Like, if you check your effort every day, if you check the man next to you's effort every day, imagine how great we can be. I think we really decide that in this room, strictly off of effort. If you're good enough to be sitting in this room, you're good enough to win an SEC championship. If you're good enough to play SEC tennis, you're good enough to win an SEC championship. Am I wrong? So what's wrong with believing it? What's wrong with showing that type of effort? What's Ali said? The fight was won way longer before I stepped and danced in that ring. On a road somewhere out there, talking about his running, talking about his training, talking about his effort. That effort's what builds habits. That effort's what builds character. You watch that game on Saturday, Missouri throws a few blows in the third quarter. We responded. We swung back. A week before that, Auburn, down 12. We're not folding, we're swinging back. What you going to do when Auburn jumps out on you? What you going to do? How are you going to respond when Tennessee jumps out on us? How are we going to respond when they get the doubles point? When Georgia gets the doubles point on you, how are you going to respond? Are we going to be able to take care of business when we go to singles? When we jump out on one of the best teams we play this year, we win the doubles point. Are we going to be so excited that we just, beside ourselves, lose focus and can't take care of business as individuals, and they just sweep us 6-0 in individuals? You got to be able to do that based on your effort and calling one another out and holding each other to a certain standard. Preparation, effort. Third thing, accountability. Shall you read it? Accountability.
We are aware that this creed defines Alabama men's tennis, and as a team, we are 100% accountable for upholding these values.
What's that mean to you?
Well, I think it just kind of fits in with everything we talked about today, just holding each other at a standard that, you know, we're not really gonna see it affecting us now, but it's gonna be a standard that's gonna make a whole lot of difference in March, April, May, when, you know, it really comes down to it. And I think success is a byproduct to doing all the things right, day in, day out, and striving for excellence. I think accountability is a big part of that.
No doubt. Danny?
I feel like we all have to hold ourselves accountable for like doing the right things every day. It's like when someone's slacking off, I think it's our job to get on them and just keep pushing each other, because I think I can make a difference in getting to the next level.
Langford?
Basically, like, just don't point fingers, you know, own up to what you're doing and hold yourself accountable and to a standard, like Sean said, that's higher than it. Higher.
Sam?
Yeah, I agree. Like, motivate each other. Try to hold yourself accountable and your like teammates.
I haven't heard from the animal yet today. What you think?
I think it's not putting up with mediocrity, like letting, like if you're not giving, like if someone's not giving it their all, like letting them know that, because if you let that slide, that's gonna build up, and if you let that happen like 4 or 5 days out of the week, how much better did we get? And we lost time there, and if we want to be as good as we want to be, we can't put up with that. And like these guys have said, it starts with yourself. You have to be able to recognize yourself when you're not giving, when you're not preparing, when you're not giving 100% effort. And yeah, I think it starts with yourself. But if the guys around you aren't getting on you about it before, I think that's a problem. I think everybody needs to know it.
Hayes?
I think it's just kind of holding yourself accountable, like doing stuff without having anyone to tell you to do it. Like you're doing your rehab, nobody has to tell you to do it. Nobody has to tell you to get to the courts 30 minutes early. Nobody has to tell you to hit extra serves. Just kind of take it upon yourself.
So, honestly, I feel like this last one kind of ties everything together, and I think that's why Coach had it last. To me, especially with these last three, like if you could make an equation, accountability equals preparation plus effort. But honestly, if you just added up all these values, it would equal accountability. And I think what we have here is a game plan to become men, a game plan to become champions, to become accountability, just like y'all said, being able to do it on your own. You want to be a professional? Start being a professional now. You don't have to wait to graduate. You start acting like a professional today, you are more likely to be a professional, whether it be in tennis, whether it be a Fortune 500 CEO, whatever it may be. You decide that now. You don't have to act your age. You can act way more mature. You decide. You said it. That's what became exciting to me. When I first came out here, I looked around and I said, you know what? I can compete with these guys. I can coach with these guys. They walk the same way I walk. They talk the same way they talk. And we got the same resources. We can watch the same film. I can go to the same library. I can study. I can learn from the best coaches that's ever done it. And I can learn the values they taught their athletes. And I can study them. And I can teach them to my athletes. And that's what I'm doing with y'all today. I took the best coaches, whoever it may be. I read their bio. I read the values they taught, what they believed in. The Vince Lombardis, the Coach Sabins, whoever it may be, in any field. What do they preach? What do they teach? And I started practicing it, and I started becoming it. That's what you got to ask yourself. What is this team becoming? What am I becoming as a man? Who do I want to become? That's why we opened up with why. Because I wanted you to give you a purpose. You probably have heard the saying before. 2 best days in your life. The day you find your purpose and the day you start putting it to use. All right? To me, it was when I found out that I wanted to coach during that off season. I found my passion and now I'm starting to put it to use. I haven't had a day since that's been all that boring. You got to find what's important to you as an individual, as a team. All right? That's what this creed's about. Unity, class, character, respect, responsibility, humility, appreciation, consideration, communication, preparation, effort, accountability. You got to sign this, man. You got to sign your work. Like I said, if you can play SEC tennis, you can win a championship in the SEC. But we gotta decide that every day. I think we have a very important time period that's coming up right now. Y'all get a little downtime. Y'all go home, visit with your family and your friends. I think that's a great time to not only keep grinding, keep sharpening your tools, but also to really get cued in mentally and start preparing mentally and start dreaming and creating that vision. You know, don't go home and just forget about everything you've done. You've really got to be locked in every day you're home, thinking about what you're going to accomplish when you get back here, so that you build up such a fire in your belly, such an excitement between your ears, that when you come back, I just feel it coming off of you. That's what's going to motivate me. That's what's going to excite me. So what I want to do today, and this is kind of a little bit off the wall, but I want you to just, everybody have paper? I want you to rip off your own sheet of paper